The top 5 most infamous women of the Wild West were more than just pretty faces, they were outlaws, lawbreakers, and renegades who stood toe-to-toe with the toughest cowboys. Even in the olden days, women defied convention and carved their own paths. They were bold, they were daring, and they were unforgettable. The number 4 and number 1 are my favorite women in Wild West, so make sure to watch the full video. Number 5, Pearl Hart. Hart, who was originally known as Pearl Taylor, was born in Lindsay, Ontario, Canada, to a wealthy and devout family. She received a first-rate education when she was 16 and enrolled in a boarding school, where she fell in love with Hart, a young man who was frequently described as a rake, a drunkard, or a gambler. Hart's marriage to Hart was tumultuous, and the couple had 2 children, a boy and a girl. Midway Barker was enthralled by the cowboy way of life portrayed in Wild West show by the Buffalo Bills. When the fair was over, she left her husband once more and boarded a train headed for Trinidad, Colorado, possibly with the assistance of a pianist named Dan Bandman. Inspired by Annie Oakley Hart, she then adopted a life of crime, using her accurate shooting for criminal rather than amusement. During this time, she worked as a cook and a singer, perhaps supplementing her income as a demimonde or even engaging in prostitution. There are also accounts that suggest that she may have engaged in together. Hart and Joe Boo committed a stagecoach heist while posing as men. They then started their dangerous escapade, which would become one of the last known stagecoach robberies in the United States, but their plans went awry, they got lost, and the pair were caught. During her trial, Hart adamantly declared, quote, "I shall not consent to be tried under a law in which my sex had no voice in making." Though she served part of her sentence, she found herself pregnant while in prison, and the governor ordered her to release her. Number 4, Annie Oakley. In 1981, the Annie Oakley Committee erected a stone-mounted plaque near the site designating her birth 121 years earlier. Annie Oakley's parents Susan Wise and Jacob Mosey were Quakers of English descent from Hollidaysburg, Blair County, Pennsylvania. They married. Oakley was born in 1860 in a log cabin near Woodland, Ohio, now known as Willowdale. The cabin is situated less than 2 miles northwest of Woodland and approximately 5 miles east of North Star in Darke County. After her father's passing at the age of 9, on March 15, 1870, Annie and her sister Sarah Allen were admitted to the Darke County Infirmary. Annie recalls being placed under the care of the infirmary superintendent Samuel Crawford Eddington and his wife Nancy, who taught her sewing and decorative skills. In the spring of 1870, Annie was bound out to a locust hut. However, during her later childhood and adulthood, Annie did occasionally attend schools. The couple had actually wanted someone for manual labor, such as pumping water and cooking, and Annie was subjected to mental and physical abuse during her time with them, which lasted for about 2 years. When Annie turned 15, she took part in a shooting competition against traveling show marksman Frankie Butler, and she won. Victorious later married and finally joined Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, Annie and Frank. In a letter to President William McKinley, Annie Oakley offered the services of a company of 50 female sharpshooters who would supply their own weapons and ammunition if the United States went to war with Spain. Annie Oakley became famous for her exceptional sharpshooting skills and performed in front of royalty and heads of state. She also actively supported women serving in combat roles in the U.S. Armed Forces. Number 3, Mary Fields. Stagecoach Mary, armed with guns and dressed in men's clothing, was a formidable figure who defended against potential male thieves. She was the first African-American woman and the second woman in the U.S. to deliver mail. Mary Fields gained her freedom around 1832 in Hickman County, Tennessee, at the conclusion of the American Civil War. She initially worked as a chambermaid on the Robert E. Lee steamboat and later joined Judge Edmund Dunn's household after his wife passed away. Following this, Mary Fields and the late wife's 5 children were supposed to live with Dunn's sister's mother, Mary Amagius, who served as Mother Superior at an Ursuline convent in Toledo, Ohio. In 1884, Mother Amagius was tasked with establishing a school for Native American girls in Montana Territory at St. Peter's Mission, west of Cascade. When Amagius fell ill with pneumonia, Fields rushed to Montana to care for her. Thankfully, Amagius recovered, and Fields decided to stay at St. Peter's Mission, taking on various tasks typically associated with men's work at the time, including maintenance, repairs, supply procurement, laundry, gardening, freight transportation, crop cultivation, chicken tending, and building repairs. Fields eventually assumed the role of 4 women, but a dispute led to her expulsion in 1895. She secured a contract from the Postal Service to work as a star route carrier, becoming the first African-American woman to work for the U.S. Postal Service. Known for her fearless demeanor, she carried multiple firearms, including a concealed .38 Smith & Wesson under her apron, providing protection for herself and the mail against wolves, thieves, and bandits. Accompanied by horses and a mule named Moses, she faithfully completed her daily mail rounds. Her preferred mode of transportation earned her the nickname Stagecoach Mary. When snow made travel difficult for her horses, Fields even delivered mail on snowshoes, showcasing her unwavering determination and commitment to her job. Number 2. Belle Starr Myra Mabel. Belle Starr, whose real name was Belle Starr Shirley, was born on February 5, 1848, on her father's farm near Carthage, Missouri. Her family often called her May. Despite her father John Shirley being seen as the troublemaker of a well-off Virginia family that had moved to Indiana, he found success in farming, raising crops like wheat, corn, hogs, and horses. Belle's mother, Elizabeth Eliza Hatfield Shirley, was John Shirley's third wife and had some distant connection to the Hatfield family, known for the infamous family feud in the 1860s. Eventually, Belle's father sold the farm and moved the family to Carthage, where he bought a livery stable and blacksmith shop on the town square. Belle received a comprehensive education, including classical studies, and even learned to play the piano. She graduated from the Carthage Female Academy, a private school that her father had helped establish. However, Belle's rebellious side soon surfaced as she began associating with outlaws and engaging in horse theft. Despite her reputation, she maintained an air of sophistication while enjoying whiskey and riding her horse at high speeds, always using a side saddle. She also carried a gun to protect herself from men who harassed her. In an interview with the Dallas Morning News, she declared herself a friend to any bold and daring outlaw. Sadly, Belle Starr met a mysterious death in 1889. Number 1. Sonora Webster Carver. In 1923, Sonora Webster Carver responded to an advertisement by William "Doc" Carver, who was looking for a diving performer. This marked a significant moment in circus history as Sonora's role involved mounting a running horse as it reached the top of a tall tower, sometimes as high as 60 feet, and then gracefully descending on its back as it plunged into an 11-foot pool of water below. She quickly became a sensation and rose to fame as the leading diving performer in Doc Carver's team. During her time with the show, Sonora developed a romantic relationship with Albert Floyd Carver, Doc's son, and they eventually got married in October 1928. After Doc Carver passed away in 1927, Al took over the management of the show. Sonora's sister, Annette Webster French, followed in her footsteps and joined the show as a horse diver in 1928. Together, Sonora and the team traveled extensively across the country, showcasing their daring performances. However, tragedy struck in 1931 when Sonora suffered a retinal detachment that left her blind. This injury occurred when she hit the water off balance with her eyes open while diving with her horse named Red Lips on Atlantic City's Steel Pier, which had been their permanent venue since 1929. Remarkably, Sonora continued to dive with horses until 1942, displaying incredible resilience. In contrast, Annette left the show in 1935. Sonora's remarkable life story served as the inspiration for the popular movie Wild Hearts Can't Be Broken. However, it's worth noting that Sonora expressed disappointment with how her life was portrayed in the film. And there you have it, folks, the 5 most notorious women of the Wild West. The Wild West was a land of opportunity where these remarkable women defied societal norms, shattered glass ceilings, and carved their own paths. Alright, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.